you guys can grab a seat. You guys are awesome. All right. For those of you who do not know my name is Pastor David J. Hardie. And that's how I introduce myself everywhere. Some of you are like, why is there a big bearded man saying in front of me? Here's what we're going to do. You look so very scared right now. It's okay. It's okay. You're going to make it. You're going to make it through this session, I promise. Here's what we're going to do. It's like kind of a little community event. So can you guys help me with the ums? Can you help me with the ums? I think you can. I'm going to point you. You're doing good. I'm going to point to you. When I point to you, you're going to help me with the ums, okay? For those of you who do not know my name is Pastor David J. Hardie. Very good. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are awesome. You're great. So today we are going to be talking about friendships. So there's a lot of things we're going to cover. It's going to be absolutely awesome and amazing. Just to tell you a little bit about myself. Actually, you've been interacting with my artwork all weekend, and you probably didn't, or week, and you didn't even know it. I'm the guy who made all your t-shirts. So if you have an Encounter Conference shirt on, oh yeah, I'm that guy. I know, right? Pretty cool. So I make t-shirts, I do drawings, I drew this pug that's on my chest right now. All right, so yeah, it's pretty cool. You like Space Pug, do you like that? Yeah, I have a pug. I just got a brand new pug puppy. Yeah, her name is Sparkles. My daughter named her. Yeah, she's pretty awesome. Right? I will. Okay, so here's the deal. Who here has good friends? All right. Who here wants to be a good friend? Oh, good. I'm gonna give you a story about some not so good friends. You do not want to be like these friends, okay? Who here's ever been to summer camp? Raise your hand. Yep. If you haven't, it's awesome. Camp is awesome. You should go to summer camp. Well, when I was young, back in the 90s, I went to a camp, actually like a local camp, Suncrest Camp, and we had a thing that we would do when the students, we would go from junior high camp to senior high camp. Now, it looks like I got a lot of junior hires in here, right? You guys in junior high? What grade are you guys in? 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th? 7th? 12th? Yeah, we got some 12th. Yeah, right. Okay, so I was going into 9th grade, and I was very, very, very nervous, okay? I was 8th grade going into 9th grade, and I was like, I just want to keep my head down. I don't want to cause any issues. I don't want anybody to make fun of me. I just want to, I just want to exist. That's all I want to do. I just want to exist at this camp. And they had this tradition that everybody was talking about. We were going to go to a wave pool, and everybody was talking about going off the high dive. Everybody was like, oh, are you going to go off the high dive? And I'm thinking, like, what is this thing? That all week they had been talking about it. And like the seniors were like, yeah, man, I'm going to go off the high dive. I'm going to do like a quadruple backflip. And I'm like, I don't like heights. I have no desire to go off of a high dive at all, right? No desire. So we're on the bus, and we're driving out there, and I'm sitting with my friend, and we're talking, and then all of a sudden, a few seats up, I could hear this girl talking. Now, all good stories have a girl in it, right? And she was talking, and here's what she sounded like. She goes, if somebody would like to go off the high dive, that would be like the coolest thing ever. Because that's how all girls talked in the 90s, okay? All girls talked like that in the 90s. Yep, true story. And she said that, and I was like, she was pretty cute, and I had a little bit of a crush. And so, you guys are awesome. And so I'm like, I lean over to my friend. Listen, you got to hear this. I lean over to my friend, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I think I might go off the high dive.
No.
Instantly, he stood up and he was like, "Hey, everybody, Dave's going to go off the high dive." And I'm like, "Oh, no." And everybody started like, "Oh," doing like what you're doing, "Oh, yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, no. What have I done?" So we drove up. And now I was thinking that this was a very large diving board, right? I was thinking this was like a 12-foot diving board, like really, really high. Oh, just wait. It was not that. As we were driving up, you could see this massive tower structure from afar. This was a full-on Olympic-sized diving platform, okay, made of concrete and steel. And as we drove, it's like 40 meters. You can look it up. It's like crazy. And I know. So like the second that I saw it, my stomach was doing loops, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this can't be." So we all got out. Everybody went over, and all those seniors who had been talking a big game, they're like, "Oh yeah," they're like, I don't know if I'm going to do the high dive this year. Like, I don't need to show off. You know what I mean? So nobody was doing the high dive. And then my friend said, "Hey, Dave, you're going to do the high dive, right?" And I'm staring at it. I'm scared. And I'm like, "Oh, no, I don't." And that girl, I looked over at that girl. And she was like looking at me. And I'm like, "Okay. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." And my friends, you. And so, no, she is not my wife. And so, a spoiler alert, by the way. So, my friends are all like, you should do this. And I'm like, "Okay. All right. Now, here's something that you need to know about me. You need to know this, okay? Hold on. I'll wait. I will answer questions, but at the end, okay? No bottle flipping. No bottle flipping. And so, you need to know this. I have such bad eyesight that my eye doctor makes fun of me. Okay, and now I'm wearing contacts right now, but back then I had these big, thick Coke bottle glasses. I could barely see. Like, true story, my son, for April Fool's, hid my glasses, and I could not navigate around the house, like, at all. I'm that blind. I go in, my eye doctor's like, "Hey, are you still blind as a bat?" And I'm like, "Are you still incredibly insensitive? That's not nice. You should not make fun of me." I'm like, yeah, I'm almost blind. So I could barely see back then. So I take my glasses off and I hand them to one of my friends, and I start walking up to the high dive, and there's this giant sign, huge, big, huge sign, but I can't read the sign because I'm functionally blind. And I look at my friends and I say, "Friends, tell me what this sign says." And they're like, "You're fine. Just go, just start climbing." I'm like, "Okay, I guess I don't need to know the incredibly important information that is painted on the side of this high dive." Yeah. So I start climbing up this ladder, right? I can see enough to climb up a ladder. I can see enough. So I'm climbing. I'm starting to get tired. My arms are starting to, fatigue. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I gotta make it up to the top." And I'm climbing. And I look back and I realize that if I like fall off this ladder there, I'm gonna be dead because it's so far up. I'm like, "Oh my goodness." Finally, I get up to the top, and then I realize that's only platform number 1. There are 3 total platforms. So there's a second platform, and then there's a third platform. So I start climbing up the second second ladder. I climb up there. I get up to the third. Guys, I kid you not. I was in the middle of a cloud. Okay, like that's what like clouds are up there. Birds are flying at eye level. Like, it was insane. And I walk out to the edge. Okay, walk out to the edge, and my entire body just locked up. Do you know why that happened? I'll tell you. Listen, I'm going to tell you why that happened. Because God did not build us to jump off of very high things. Okay? There's something inside of all of us that says, no, don't jump off of this thing because you will surely die. And so as I was standing there, my body locked up, and all of my friends were down at the bottom. I could see them. They were kind of like little ants. And you know what they were doing right then? They were chanting my name. Dave, 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 Dave. Now, here's what you might think. You might think that my friends were cheering for me. But that is not true. My friends were cheering for a story. They wanted to see what would happen to a person when they jumped off the high dive. And so they wanted to tell their great grandkids, about the guy who jumped off the high dive, right? So the lifeguard, he's down there and he says, "Hey kid, did you?" And I'm like, "I can't hear you at all." And he's like, "Did you?" And I'm like, "Dude, I can't hear you." And he goes, "Just jump." Now in that moment, and here's what you need to know. In that moment, I was so horrified, petrified, terrified. I actually considered climbing all the way down and not doing it. I did, but I thought, I'm going to forever be known as the guy who climbed down the ladder and didn't go off the high dive. I'm going to be known as that guy forever and ever and ever. See, what the lifeguard was trying to say was, did you jump or did you dive off the first high dive? Which was the instructions that were given. See, what they wanted you to do was you dove off the first high dive, then you dive off the second to make sure that you're ready for the third. Because if you're not ready for the third, you can get severely hurt. And die. And so, when I had skipped all of those steps because my friends did not inform me, and I'm up there, and I'm horrified, I'm petrified, and oh my goodness, this is crazy, and I couldn't deal with the stress anymore, and so finally, I just said, "Ah!" and I jumped off. Now here's what you need to know happened. I did not. Spoiler alert. Listen. You got to hear this. This is a good one. So I jumped off. I was falling so fast and far that I kid you not, I had to take 2 breaths. I was like, ah, ah. Let me give you some advice. This could save your life, okay? Let me give you some advice. If you are ever going to jump off of a large structure and you do not know how to dive, okay? Do I have any divers in the room? There's a few of you, there's some form to diving and you jump out, okay? But there's a lot of us that we don't know how to dive. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Listen, here's what you do. You do a pencil dive. And what that is you put both hands above your head and you hold your thumb, okay? And you look up. You look straight up. Here's why. Your body will go where your eyes go. And so, if you keep your head up, you're going to stay straight and you're going to cut right into the water and you're going to be fine. However, if you jump off of a large structure and you try to look down at the impending doom that is below you, here's what will happen. Your body will start to turn. And as you're falling, you will go completely parallel with the water. And so as I was falling, my body turned. And by the time I hit, boom, world's biggest belly smacker right in the water. Did it hurt? Listen, when I hit the water, there was this big flash of light My eyes were closed. I believed that when I would open my eyes, I would see Jesus reaching his hand out saying, "Come home, my son," because I was dead. So I hit the water. All my friends were like, they're like cheering as I was like going down. I hit the water and they go, "Ooh." And then they start cheering again because like, "Oh, Dave's alive." And I'm like floating up. And I start climbing out of the water. And I kid you not, okay, my entire body was as red as your shorts, as red as these bags. Like everything. In fact, it was red, blue, purple, all, like my face, black and blue, my chest, my ribs were all black and blue, everything. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can barely move. And everybody's like, "Oh, that was the craziest, most ridiculous thing ever. That had to hurt." And I'm like, "Yes, it hurt." And I look over at that girl. And do you know what she did? What? She went, "Eh." And she walked away. Right? So spoiler alert, that wasn't my wife, okay? That was not my wife. All right, so listen. Fun? No, I know. I will give opportunity for you to ask some questions.
I want to see you try and see how cool.
I know. It's okay. My therapist says I'll be over it in 15 to 20 years. Okay, so it's good. All right, so we're going to be talking about friendships. We want to be good friends, not bad friends. I had bad friends in that scenario, okay? We want to be good friends. We're going to be talking about that. I just want to pray for us, and then we're going to get rolling, okay? Listen, let's pray. Dear Lord, I just pray for all of us here today, this morning, that we would seek to be good friends, friends of character. Lord, I pray that we would just sacrifice time and resources for our friends and for you. Lord, just guide and direct as you see fit. In your name we pray, amen. So we're talking about being good friends, okay? So in order to have good friends, you need to be a good friend, okay? That's what I would argue. You need to invest time and resources into good friends. Most of our friendships in our lives, especially in like grade school and elementary school and junior high, they're friendships of proximity. What that means is you're friends with people who live in your town, okay, who go to your school, who sit at your lunch table, and all of those things. Now, I'm not saying that that's bad, but you just take a bunch of people, put them in a room, and say, hey, figure it out. But what we're looking to be is we're looking to have friendships of character, okay? We're looking to have friendships of character, friendships of integrity. You're looking to have friends who will lift you up, who will build you up, and you are looking to be a friend who will build others up. But it takes time and work, okay? It takes time and work to do that. And so you don't want to be that friend who ignores other friends and ignores people and says, I just want to take. See, my friends in that scenario, they just wanted a story. They didn't want what was best for me. They just wanted a story, right? Who here, no show of hands. I don't need a show of hands. I just need you to think about it. I'm sure you guys know people have people in your life who they just take from you. They just take emotionally, they take whatever, and they're trying to climb that ladder, and they're friends who would throw you under the bus. They would say, you know what? I don't care about you. I don't care about what you want. I don't care about this relationship. I just want what's going to make me more popular. We don't like that, right? That's not something that we like. But there's a lot of friends who do that. We're not called to be those friends. We're called to be friends of character who actually care. You should be a friend who, when something bad happens in your friend's life, that they can go to you and they can say, hey, I'd like to talk with you about this. I'd like to run this by you. You need to be somebody who is present. You do not want friends who are going to pull you down. Okay? When my wife was young, she had these pictures from her class. I had no idea who any of these people were, but being a youth pastor for 15 years, I looked at all of these pictures and I was like, I can tell you the friends in this picture who like were trying to pull people away, pull people down, and were only about themselves. It was amazing that I could even tell that just from the interactions in the pictures and all of that, because it was very evident. There are people who they just want to pull you down. You don't want to be influenced by those people. You don't want to be that person. You want true friends of character. Right now, here's what I need everybody to do. Close your eyes. I want everybody to close their eyes. I want you to think right now, if your life were to be really, really hard, if you were to get the worst news of your life, if things were to be absolutely terrible and blow up, I want you to think who, other than your mom, dad, or siblings, who would you go to? Now, I just want you to think of it. I don't need you to name it. Don't you name that person. What person would you go to? Who is that friend that you can trust, that you can go to in the hard times? Who is that friend? Okay, keep your eyes closed. I want you to picture this person. All right, now open your eyes. I hope that if in the whole world, that if they were doing it, they'd said, everybody close your eyes, everybody think of those friends. I would hope that you, sitting here today, that you are some of those friends for other people. That you are somebody who they can go to, that they can trust, that they can invest in relationship with, that they can feel safe. You know, I had a friend, and still do, who I called up at 2 o'clock in the morning one time because my life was falling apart because I got some really, really, really bad news. What happened? Do you want to know what happened? Yeah! It's not great. My wife was pregnant and we lost the baby. And so it was really, really hard and difficult. And my wife was brokenhearted. I was brokenhearted. And there was a friend who I could call who would listen to me at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because when you get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning, either somebody is accidentally butt dialing you or it's really serious and you need to pick up. But he was somebody who listened to me, who helped walk me through the junk and the stuff, and it was no judgment. No judgment. You want to be a friend like that. You want to be somebody who's going to say, yes, I will be there for you. I will build you up. I will lift you up. Okay? Here's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to give you a good bit of time because I think that this is really important. Friendships are important. Question and answer time is really important. So I want to deal with the questions that you guys have right now about friendship. Hold on. So, what questions do you have specifically about friends, good friends, bad friends, how to be a good friend? Go ahead, yes.
So you had bad friends, and you said you have to have, if you're a good friend, you have good friends, so you were bad friends.
I don't think that equation's working out. So say that again for me.
So you had bad friends.
So well, I'll tell you this, they were friends of proximity, not character. So I went to a place, didn't have any friends, made some friends at that place. Do you get what I'm saying? So they were friends of proximity, not necessarily character. So the friends that I have that, like when I was in my wedding, I realized that all of my groomsmen, here's what was interesting. None of them went to my school in high school. So not one of them went to my school in high school. Do you know who they were? They were friends from church. They were friends from the camp that I later met that were really good friends, but they were friends of character. So if you have bad friends, that doesn't mean, I don't think that necessarily means you are a bad friend. I think that means that you may need to seek out some better friends. Do you get what I'm saying? So like sometimes we just get thrown into a situation and you're like, well, I'm just gonna make the friends that I can and we'll figure out what to do, you know? But that's, I mean, bad friends can corrupt your character, right? Like we know that bad friends can get you to do bad things. And the people you spend the most time with, you are going to act like them. You are going to be the average of the five people you spend the most time with. I'm telling you, it's the truth. So, does that make sense? Yeah. All right, other questions. I like questions. Other questions. Other friendship questions. You can ask me this. You can ask me anything about the story. You can ask me anything you want. Go ahead, yes.
Dang it.
You forgot?
Wow.
You forgot? You can think about it. I'll come back to you. Yes.
I actually did have a fake friend. Her name was Gianna.
No, don't name. Gianna's in this room right now. I'm just kidding. No, okay. All right, let's not name names. I'm going to come back to you. Any other questions anybody haven't called on? Yes. Do I know how high the high dive was? It's like 40 meters. It's like really, really high. It's Olympic high dive. So it's like, when you watch the Olympics and you see that, is there what? Hold on. Shh. Go ahead.
What's the third one? 40 meters?
The third one was, it was like 40 meters. Whatever it is, whatever Olympic high dive is, which is really high. Yeah, it's bonkers. It's pretty crazy. You want to know something really crazy? After I jumped off that high dive and did that, I realized that it didn't kill me. That the worst case scenario happened, right? Like the worst, like when I was up there, I could not have done anything more stupid and it didn't kill me. So then you know what happened? High dive didn't bother me. Every single year after that, like that first year, I would go back and I went as a camper and I jumped off the high dive. Then as a counselor, I jumped off the high dive. Then as a director, I jumped off the high dive. It was like this big camp thing. And so one year when I was a director, we drove all the kids in buses out there. And the first thing that I was going to do was I was going to jump off the high dive. And the kids thought it was a real big deal. And everybody gathered around. Oh, Dave's going to die. And I got up there and I put because I did the pencil dive after that, which the pencil dive saves your life. So I did the pencil dive. And instantly, as soon as I jumped off the high dive, lightning came striking down, thunder, everything. They had to shut the whole place down. None of the kids got to go in the pool. Yeah, I know. So here's the crazy thing. All the kids were mad at me for the weather, which is highly irrational if you think about it. There was this one nerdy kid. He went and figured out an algorithm, a fake algorithm, on how Dave pulled down the sky. That my body mass, blah, 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 made a vortex and pulled down the sky. Totally false, but everybody was jokingly believing it. And all the kids were mad at me the entire trip home, as if I had power over the weather. I am not Thor, okay? I know I get confused with Thor sometimes, but I am not Thor.
Are you Thor?
I am not. Go ahead, buddy. You remembered? You remembered it?
Okay, the closest thing you could do to change the weather is to go really fast, but
like the Flash.
Yeah, but you disintegrate
Yep.
because of the friction.
Yep. Exactly.
So
See?
you just can't.
You can't control the weather. There's some things you can't control. But you can control how good of a friend you are. Yes, go ahead.
Why did you like the girl?
Why did I like the girl? Because I probably had low self-esteem and had no understanding of what I was looking for in a future spouse, and I was believing the lie and myth that the 90s had been filling my mind with, that bigger hair meant a better person. True? Was that fair? Why did I like her? Because I had a very vapid understanding of beauty, and I didn't realize that beauty was more internal than external. She had a pulse, and I was a junior high guy. She was perceivedly pretty by culture, by cultural standards in the 90s, which are not the same standards that we have now. She had big poofy hair. I know, right? She had big poofy hair. Yeah, buddy, go ahead. Did I what? I did not. I did not at all. She broke my heart. She broke my heart. Go ahead. Yes.
How many feet is 440 meters?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Siri. It's like, yeah, it's. You can look it up. Yeah, buddy, go ahead. Huh? Do I like cheeseburgers? Yes, I do. I like cheeseburgers a lot. I personally, I really like Red Robin cheeseburgers. Those are good. I like cheeseburgers with eggs on them. What is on your phone right now? Okay.
But I put 40, but it made me think 14.
Ah, okay. All right. Go ahead, buddy. How what? I legitimately cannot hear you at all. I'm sorry. How did what?
How did you meet your wife?
Oh, yeah, okay. You want to hear how I met my wife? Well, I'm going to tell you how I fell in love with my wife, because that's a much better story. No, my wife was not trying to kill me when I met her. All right, so is this? That sounds like a lot, and I felt every single one of those. Okay, so this is a picture of my wife. Okay, this is a picture of my wife. She's an art teacher. Okay. I should have had like a PowerPoint presentation about my wife. You guys are very concerned about my wife. Like immensely concerned.
Let me see. You picked a good one.
I picked a good one. They just said I picked a good one. All right. So here is you have to know this about my wife. My wife and I fell in love over a pizza fight. Over a pizza fight, okay? So when I was in youth group, now I was older and I was in youth group. Actually, I think my wife and I were both leaders at this time, so we were adult leaders. My youth pastor bought way too much pizza, which sometimes happens, okay? He bought way too much pizza. And it devolved into a pizza fight, which should never happen in this contemporary day and age. You should never throw food, but it did happen. So my wife, now it was not my wife, her name's Tara. She was in the back of the room, and she took a piece of pizza. And she threw it at me like a shuriken ninja star. And it hit me right in the throat, okay? Which hurts really, really bad, okay? So I'm like, I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna get her. And so I got a piece of pizza, and see, like I can't throw. I'm not a good like shuriken thrower. So I went and I chased her down, and I took the piece of pizza and I smashed it in her face. I grabbed her and I smashed it in her face, right? And when I took the pizza off of her face, in that moment, I realized I love this woman. Like I was stunned. I'm like, oh, I'm in love. This is the moment. This is it. So hold on. You got to hear this. So my wife, Tara, she's not my wife at the time. She goes, like our eyes lock, and we had this moment, and then like I just like walk away, and she like ran out the room, and I'm like, oh, what is happening? What is happening right now? And all my friends came up, they're like, Dave, you got to see this. I'm like, what? And they're like, go look out the window. Now we were on the second story. I look out, like, you got to see your car. Tara had gone and taken an entire box of pizza and covered my car in pizza, face down with pizza. And it was in that moment that I realized she was going to be my wife. This is the most youth ministry story ever. There is not a more youth ministry story ever. So, all right? So, that was a good question. Next, go ahead, yes.
How would you know if your friends are bad friends, but if they're like manipulating?
Excellent question. So I'm going to answer that. Are they constantly seeking what's better for themselves than what's better for you? Okay? So are they trying to use you to elevate themselves, and I'm not saying are they trying to put themselves down. I'm not talking about like false, like, oh, I'm so humble. That's not what I'm talking about. But do they actually care? Do they actually invest time into the friendship? Or do they just care about the things that they can get from you? Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, buddy, go ahead. You got the same fear as me? You don't like heights? Yeah, I don't think we're meant to like heights. I just don't. If God meant us to like heights, we'd have wings. So, yeah, I hear you. Shh. I got to be able to hear these questions. Yeah, honey, go ahead. You can show me a picture.
Me and my pap made this picture together.
That is amazing.
And I was halfway through painting this.
You're really good.
I painted that.
You painted that?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, that looks like a photograph. That's really good. Of like a sunset? That looks really good. Both really good. Excellent. Keep that up. That's good. I just got done with my first comic book. I wrote and drew a comic book. What's it about? It's about a one-eyed Wolverine and a steampunk girl who fight a cybernetic werewolf. True story. It is not my wife. It is not my wife. I only have eyes for her. Trust me. I am well aware that I married up. Okay, I'm well aware of that. I know that. Everybody reminds me. Yeah, buddy, go ahead.
My brother Glenn, he paints really good.
He paints really good paintings? Nice. Tell him to keep it up. That's good. That's good. Yes, honey, go ahead. Shh. Let me see your Lego house. Yeah, let me see. Oh, nice.
And I didn't use any help. I just my dad helped me a little bit.
Okay, everybody sit down.
What I did, my first idea was just stack my blocks and straight, and then it kept falling down.
Okay. Okay, here's what I need everybody to do. We're going to stand up right now. We're going to play a game real fast. We're going to stand up. This is a super, super easy game. Super easy game. I need you to stand up. Stand up. This is the easiest game ever. You ready? This game is called Sit Down If. We're going to keep going until there's only one person left. Okay? So I'm going to say a thing. If that thing applies to you, you are going to sit down. Can you do that for me? All right. We're going to do a practice one. Sit down if you're wearing an Encounter Conference t-shirt. Now that's just practice, but now you would sit down. Okay, everybody stand up. Now this is legit. Now you stay seated until there's only one person left, okay? Sit down if your middle name starts with the letter T. T. Anybody? All right. Sit down if you're wearing the color fuchsia. Does anybody have the color fuchsia on? I picked a really hard color, a very specific color. It's like purple, but it's not purple. All right, sit down if you have never seen any of the Toy Story movies. If you have never seen any of the Toy Story movies. You do not need to berate him. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Sit down if you have been to Kennywood this summer already. Sit down if you have been to Kennywood this summer already.
Give this to your dog. It's Sparkles.
Okay.
Sparkles.
All right. Sit down if you have ever broken your pinky finger on either hand. If you have ever broken your pinky finger on either hand. No, you're good. Sit down if you have ever been to the state of Iowa. Iowa. You have to think about it. If you've ever been to the state of Iowa. All right. Sit down if the town that you live in, okay, so your address, the town that you live in, the name ends, okay, you got to think about this, ends with the letter Y. So the town you live in, if the name ends with the letter Y. So if you live in If you live in Murraysville, you would be safe. If you live in Cranberry, you would sit down. All right. Sit down if your mother has blonde hair. Sit down if your mother has blonde hair. You do not need to contest it.
No, she has breast cancer, so her
Okay.
hair is dark.
Okay. All right.
My mom dyed her hair brown. Does that count?
No, you're fine. All right. Sit down if you are wearing the color orange. Any orange on you at all. Sit down. Any orange. Does that count? I think that counts. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, that's orange. Sit down. All right. Sit down if you have seen the movie Across the Spider-Verse. Sit down if you have seen the movie Across the Spider-Verse. Sit down if you rode a bus to school and your bus driver was a female. All right.
I had 5.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit down if your parents own a white vehicle of any kind. A white vehicle of any kind. All right. Sit down if, listen. Sit down if you have ever been to the Pittsburgh Museum and you saw the dinosaurs. Sit down if. Sit down. All right. Sit down if you have ever been to a Steeler game live at Heinz Field.
No, I went to Acrisure.
Oh, I'm sorry, Acrisure. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, right. It's Heinz Field to me. All right. Sit down if you have been on an airplane this past year.
Nope, never been on one.
All right. Sit down if you are right-handed. Sit down if you are right-handed. If you are right-handed, you better be left-handed. I'm going to make you prove it. You're left-handed? Ambidextrous. Okay. All right. If you are still standing, come up here. If you're still standing. Oh, there's only 2? Okay, we'll get you guys. All right, here we go. No, I'm just going to keep playing the game. All right, sit down if you have ever had stitches. No? All right. Sit down if you are wearing, I can't see, sit down if you are wearing black socks. Oh, all right, you are the winner. You're the winner. Very good. You guys want to play one more time? All right, stand up. What? You can ask him, Matt in the back. Okay, listen. Here we go. Sit down if you have never seen any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Sit down if you have never seen any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Never. Caribbean. Sit down if you are wearing the color green. Any green on you. Sit down. Oh, listen, it just happens that way. That's not green. That's like a teal. All right. Sit down if your father has a mustache. It does not count. Okay, all right. Okay. Sit down. Okay, you're good. All right. Sit down if you have ever been bitten by a snapping turtle. All right. Sit down if you have ever seen an eagle in the wild. If you have ever seen an eagle in the wild. Sit down if you have ever broken a leg. If you've ever broken a leg. Sit down if you have ever played I'm sorry. Sit down if you have ever done track for school. So if you've run any event in track, sit down. All right. Sit down if you do not know what 7 times 4 is. Sit down if you do not know what 7 times 4 is. You can't say it. All right. Sit down. Listen. Sit down if you have never been to Ohio. Sit down if you have never been to Ohio. All right. Sit down if you are double jointed. All right, ready? Sit down if you cannot do this. If you cannot do this, sit down. Okay. Uh-huh. Pretty impressive. It is. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. All right, listen. Sit down if you have a sibling whose name starts with the letter S. All right. Sit down if the grade that you are going into next year is an odd number. I got a bunch of you. All right. Sit down if you own a goldfish. You eat goldfish? All right. Shh. Listen. You got to be able to hear. We got to be able to hear. Sit down if you have never seen one of the Lego movies. Sit down if you have never seen one of the Lego movies. All right. Sit down if you're wearing the color red. If you have red on you at all. That's orange. That's orange. If you have red on you, sit down. You got red on your hat. All right, sit down if you are talking. Very good. All right, sit down if you are not wearing shoes with laces.
Wait, so I sit down because I have laces or not?
Yeah, no, you stay standing if you have shoes with laces. Sit down if your laces are not black. So the laces in your shoes are not black, so you would sit down because they're white. All right, if you're still standing, come on up here. If you're still standing, come on up. Those are black. You're good. Is he the winner? There's nobody else in? Oh, there's one. There's three. There's 3 of you. Okay. Here we go. Okay. All right. Sit down in. What? Oh, your shoes are red, dude. Yeah. That was just this last round. I'm sorry, bud. Sorry. You guys remember this so much better than I do. All right. There's 2 of you. That's not red. That's pink. It's fine. All right. Sit down if you have blue eyes. You do have brown. This is our winner right here. All right. We have 4 minutes. Do you want to try to play again? This game is, okay. This game, we can play one more. You gotta be quiet. You gotta be quiet. All right, ready? Ready? Sit down if your nails are painted pink. All right. Toenails do not count. Sit down if you own, hold on, you're good. Sit down if you own a black dog. Sit down if you own a black dog. Okay, listen. Sit down if your mother has any tattoos. Sit down if you have ever been to the state of Connecticut. If you have ever been to the state of Connecticut. All right. Sit down if.
Tell us we have a black cat.
No, it was just dog. Sit down if you have ever been to. I'm trying to think. Sit down if you have ever been to. What's the place in Sandusky, Ohio? Cedar Point. Sit down if you've ever been to Cedar Point. If you have ever been to Cedar Point. All right, sit down if you are 12 years old. Currently. Sorry. Sit down if you have the color white on you anywhere. Anywhere. On a t-shirt, on a... Yeah, it counts. That's white. If you were wearing it. You got white on your hat. You got white on your hat. All right. Sit down if you are in an even grade next year. Sit down if you're going into an even grade next year. All right. Sit down if you are not wearing shoes. If you have something other than shoes on, sit down. All right. And sit down if you have brown eyes. Sit down if you have brown eyes. And it is 9:55, and I think I got almost everybody out. Did you win? Or you have brown eyes, right? You're still here? Well, you're our winners. I think we're good. Do you want 2? Okay. So wait, if you're still up, come up here. You have brown eyes, bud. They're not black eyes. You have brown eyes. All right. Anybody else? No, she has no white on her. All right. All right, ready? Sit down if you... Sit down if your last name starts with the letter T. No? All right. Sit down if you have ever eaten... If you've ever eaten rattlesnake.
What?
Sit down if your teacher for homeroom this year was a female. For homeroom, your main teacher. Main teacher. I'll let that between you and God. All right. Sit down if you are wearing the color yellow. Technically, no. I see no yellow. You're good. All right. Sit down if you have braces.
I'm getting braces next year.
No? All right. Sit down if your birthday is in the months January, February, March, or April. Man. All right. Sit down if you have not lost all your baby teeth. Have not. So do you have all your adult teeth? I don't know. I can't tell. You're like, check. I have no idea. I'm not a dentist. All right. All right, so you still have your baby teeth?
Yeah, we still both have our baby teeth.
Oh, okay, then we gotta keep going.
Yeah, no way.
All right. Sit down if you have been to the state of Maryland in your life. All right. Sit down if the day you were born on, so the number day that you were born is an even number. What day were you born? 22, that's even. You're the winner. All right, we're good. You guys are awesome. Go ahead. We're going to go to the main session now.